Hello everyone, I have a big story to tell that will probably be the biggest storytime video I'll ever make, so let's get right into the story. This story is a story where I got into a fight and got sent to the principal's office. This took place in 7th grade. At the time, I was getting myself into fights. There was this group of friends, I guess you could say. It was a group of 6, and 2 people in the group were okay with me, but the other 4 people were enemies, I guess you could say, and there was one that I hated the most. His code name will be Richard because I can't use his real name, and there was a time when things really did take a change. So it was a normal day. I woke up, I went to school, I went to my morning classes, I got through the periods. There was 9 periods in a day. Lunch and recess was 6th period. Basically, lunch is 1/2 of the 6th period, and recess was the other half. Lunch and recess was 1 period combined. I had recess first and lunch second, so I went to recess, and where I live it stays winter usually from November until April, and when it's winter time we have recess in the gym, but when it's not winter we have recess outside, but we go in the gym if it's raining. But at the time it was cold and there was snow outside, so we had recess in the gym. So I went to the gym for recess and I went over to the game I played. Then for no reason at all, Richard pushes me. Richard has hurt me, and he has punched me in the face before. I did fight Richard, but I didn't try to punch his face because his goons would overreact to their friend being hurt and will fight me as well. So Richard pushes me, and I wasn't going to take it lightly, so I punched him in the head. And there was a crowd surrounding us, so there was a lot of witnesses. Richard was loved by a lot of people, so it was a bigger scene than when he punched me in the face. Even people who hated Richard were like, ooh, and not like the it's cool kind of ooh, more like the you did something bad kind of ooh. I didn't really have a point of staying there, so I ran. Not because I was scared, but 75% of the crowd was angry at me, and there really was no point of staying, so I fled from the scene. So, in the middle of the gym, there is this wall, and there's a door on the wall, so I went through there and went to the other side of the gym. I will show a layout so you get the idea, and I ran to the entrance of the gym and just stood there. Basically, there is this one half where the fight happens, and there is the other half, and on that half there is basketball, and I really did not remember what was going through my mind at the time, but the reason I stood at the entrance instead of just leaving the gym was because I realized that I did probably get into some trouble. Of course, I was getting into fights in the gym, but it was not as crazy as that, and I just had the feeling that I was probably going to get in trouble and someone was going to tell the gym teachers. There is one male gym teacher and one female gym teacher. I thought if I left the gym then I would get in more trouble, so I just stood there. It was true that I was going to get into trouble because a student who, by the way, is cool with me and still is cool with me to this day, he found me at the entrance and he said that the female gym teacher wanted to speak with me, and this is when I knew things have turned south. I really did not want to speak with the gym teacher, and I kept standing there and I hesitated because no way was I gonna speak with her. So the guy left, and later he came back with the male gym teacher, and the male gym teacher said that I had to go, and I still hesitated, but I really couldn't do anything else, so I just had to slowly walk to him, and he escorted me to the female gym teacher. While we were walking, he was saying, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm in trouble," and he was like, "It's okay," you know, trying to make me feel better, and we unfortunately made it to the female gym teacher who was waiting at the door in the middle of the gym, and she interrogated me first by saying, "What happened?" And I knew she already knew the truth, so I had no point of lying, so I said, "I punched Richard in the face," and she was like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, he always fights me," not those exact words, but something similar to that. And she was saying something about a solution to this problem because I am always fighting Richard, and I said something that I did not want to say, but I had to say it anyway, and that was to stop playing the game that Richard is playing so that I have to stay away from him. And she was like, "Yeah," and that was it. I just stayed on the basketball side of the gym and shot some hoops, and I got eliminated out of the game, so I walked over and stood at the wall and watched the basketball game. As I was standing at the wall watching the basketball game, the counselor and some other teacher walked into the gym, and they were looking around for me, and they saw me, and the counselor and the other teacher walked over to me, and the counselor is nice, so she was like, "Hey," and the counselor said something along the lines of, "So we want you to come to the office for something." Now, this was awfully suspicious because I just got into a fight, and you're asking me to come to the office? I thought it could have been for something else, but I didn't get my hopes up. They didn't even say I was in trouble. They were trying to be nice to me, and of course I couldn't just say no, so I had to follow them to the office. I was getting bad vibes. I really wish I wasn't following the counselor and the other teacher, but I didn't have any other choice. Also, this other teacher guy, I'll call him Mr. Brown. The counselor and Mr. Brown are escorting me to the office, and when we got there, the counselor said that me and Mr. Brown are going into the principal's office, and she is going to be in her office. Me and Mr. Brown walk into the principal's office, and the principal was not there. We sit down, and Mr. Brown starts to talk to me. He asks me if something happened, and I was like, what? Trying to act confused. He says, so did something happen at recess? I was trying to dismiss what he was saying, but then he says, so did you get into a fight with anyone? And he already knew what happened, so I knew I couldn't lie, so I just flat out told him that I hit Richard. He already knew, so he wasn't surprised, and he took out his mini notebook and he was asking questions on why the fight happened and all the details. He wrote down all the things I was saying. This was bad because I already got sent to the headmaster's office for something else earlier that year, so this will just add on to the list. Also, Mr. Brown was a social studies teacher, and he did have a high authority position in the school because he was a substitute principal once, and when the school year ended, he left my school and went to another school to become a principal there. Mr. Brown basically starts telling me how fighting is bad and how if someone bothers me at school, then I have the right to report it, and I had to take in all he was saying. And when Mr. Brown was talking to me, I looked out the window outside and I saw Richard's friends going to lunch, which kind of pissed me off, but oh well, what can you do? He got done talking and he told me to stay, so I was sitting in a chair for a few minutes. Then Mr. Brown comes back into the office with the principal, so now this is where it falls apart. Mr. Brown and the principal sit down across from me, and of course the principal starts talking, and you know, me being in the principal's office was a complete waste of time, because all they were saying is, why did you do it? You know that's wrong. There was no actual value of having me in the principal's office, and it went on for like 20 minutes, which felt like an hour. Then Mr. Brown and the principal left, and the counselor came in and started asking me questions on what happened. It was tiring to have to repeat myself, and this is where Mr. Brown comes back into the room for even more questions. Mr. Brown and the counselor were really nice. I didn't feel intimidated at all. The principal comes back and the counselor leaves, and it just goes on. More questions about the same thing and lecturing me over and over. Like, yeah, I get that self-defense is not allowed in school, but please, send me back to class already. Now, at this point, Richard comes to the general office area. The principal opened the door and I saw Richard sitting outside with a nice pack. The principal makes me wait outside while he interviewed Richard to hear his side of the story. I waited for like 10 minutes and the principal asked me to come back into his room with Richard, and the principal was pissed. As soon as he closed the door, he started yelling, saying how he can no longer trust the both of us as students, and the principal started saying that I hit Richard first, according to Richard, and for some reason the principal was just so set on the idea that I hit Richard first and not the other way around. When I tried to object, he did not think I was right. So I tried to cool down the argument, so I started talking to Richard and tried to do a little peace offering, yeah I know it sounds corny, in front of the principal, and I asked Richard if we could shake hands to hopefully make the principal calm down. I didn't want to, but I hoped for the best. Richard agreed and we shook hands for like 10 seconds, and as soon as we were done, the principal just goes back to screaming at us. I had respect for the principal before this, but now I didn't. He finally let us go. It was 8th period at this point, and mind you, the fight happens at 6th period. I had a study hall 8th period, and I was gonna ask the teacher if I could go to the bathroom to wash my hands after the handshake, but I didn't want to make him mad since I was already late. The school day ends. It was my first day of track practice, and one of Richard's friends was doing track as well, so he was like, "You're always the one going after Richard." My mom picks me up, and she got the news about what happened, so I explained myself, and being the great mom she is, she chose my side, and I really didn't want to go back to school the next day. It was a Thursday, so I took Friday off. I got the news that Richard got a concussion from when I punched him, and when I returned to school on Monday, I expected it to be like the movies where everyone stares at you as you walk down the hallway, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Some people did talk to me, but that's about it. No one really cared about a 12-year-old kid getting punched. So, that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.